Hey, my name is Mike, and this is a too long didn't read guide for Argus the Unmaker on normal and heroic. Tank him in the center of the room with the entire raid stacked up behind him. Have the ranged and healers group up a little bit behind melee. He does sweeping scythe on the tanks. This hits anyone in a half circle in front of him for a lot of damage. It also applies a stacking 15-second debuff that increases the damage you take from this, so swap around 3 stacks. Cone of Death selects a random raid member and shoots a cone of blackness at them. As soon as he starts casting this, you can move. He does not follow you. Have the raid move over to avoid this, and make sure you're maximizing the space of the room. Soul Blight is an 8-second dot put on random people. When it expires, you drop a circle of black. Take this to the back of the room. Make sure you're moving if you see him casting Cone of Death. Random people will be affected by Gift of the Sky and Gift of the Sea, these being indicated by orbs above their head. After 10 seconds, orbs will spawn at their locations. Running over the lightning orb gives you a stacking 2k crit and mastery buff for 30 seconds on heroic and 60 seconds on normal. Running over the sea orb gives you a stacking 2k haste and versatility buff for the same amount of time. Try to keep these buffs up at all times. In the first phase, Argus also randomly does a raid-wide AoE. At 70%, phase 2 begins. Do not stand on the outside of the room while the storm is happening. Once it's done, drag him to a cardinal direction, for example the northern part of the platform. The rest of the raid should be stacked up behind him. The only thing he continues doing from phase 1 is sweeping scythe on the tanks. When Argus reaches 100 energy, he'll apply soul burst to 2 people and soul bomb to 1. Both are 15-second dots that do damage to you in the raid when they expire. The raid takes less damage the further away you are from them. So if Argus is north, have the soul bomb go east. The one soul burst will go south and the other will go west. Soul burst doesn't do that much damage, but soul bomb does, and it will kill the person who is affected by it. However, one of the tanks gets Agramar's boon, which is a minute-long buff that increases their health and movement speed. It also makes any damage from nearby players redirect to them. So this tank needs to stand on the player with soul bomb to prevent them from dying. After the first set of these debuffs go out, every 50 energy Argus will do 2 soul bursts. Only at 100 energy will he also do soul bomb. And in this phase, make sure to move out of these black lines. At 40%, the boss despawns and adds spawn around the room. You can use your second pots here. All these adds will receive about a minute-long debuff that increases the damage they take from a specific school by 100%. So for example, melee find the add that takes more melee damage. 2 of these adds will become enlarged and need to be tanked. These 2 adds will eventually become normal adds again, and 2 others will become the tank adds. One add has a 2-handed sword and does high damage. Keep this add at least 20 yards away from other adds or else they get a damage increase for 3 minutes. The other big add has 2 daggers and just does high damage. The normal adds will target random people with Cosmic Ray, which is this black line. Ideally, that person stands still and everyone else moves out of the line. They spam cast Star Blast, which does damage to random people. On normal, you could interrupt this, but it's not required. On heroic, do not interrupt this because interrupting any ability makes them immune to interrupts for 20 seconds afterwards. This will be an issue because you need to interrupt Cosmic Beacon. This does raid-wide AoE and puts a stacking 6-second dot on the raid that does a lot of damage. Make sure to interrupt this on all difficulties. When all the adds are dead, Argus will kill you. After a bit, everyone can release and run to the tree to resurrect. This includes people who died at any point in the earlier stages of the fight. Make sure to avoid the adds in this dead realm. Throughout the rest of the fight, if you die, you can continue to release and run to the tree. However, each resurrection reduces the tree's energy. When it reaches 0 energy, it gets a stacking dot on it, which you can try and heal through for as long as possible. Once the tree dies though, you can still release, but you will not be able to res. Make sure to always release. The boss will be casting End of All Things to start the phase. Pop all your offensive cooldowns and interrupt it at the last second. At some point in this phase, your potions will come off cooldown, use them as well. And don't forget to reapply your augment runes. In this phase, we use the same positioning as phase 2. This allowed for AoE heals to hit the tree as well, but also in this phase, you still deal with soul bursts and soul bombs. Position them the same way. Tanks will not get that buff to soak the damage of soul bomb, so that player will most likely die. Tanks still have Scythe to deal with, except now the debuff is permanent. Take stacks until you die and then use the tree to res, or if the tree is dead, get battle resed. Do not use battle reses in this fight unless it's in this phase. Orbs will spawn around the room. Range, make sure to kill them. The black circle they emit is based on the amount of health they have. When they die, they do raid-wide AoE, and 1 more orb will spawn each time a set of these comes out. When they die, anyone in the dead realm should be picking up any orbs they see. Picking up enough of these will buff the raid momentarily. Throughout this phase, Argus also deals raid-wide AoE periodically, and make sure to avoid the blue swirlies. Your defensive cooldowns are best saved for the last phase. That was a too long didn't read guide for Argus the Unmaker and Antorus. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day.